I wasn't even going to bother covering Halo Season 2 because it doesn't seem like most people care about it anymore after how abominable Season 1 was. It was an affront to God that insulted the very technology that gave us the ability to watch moving pictures in the first place. Halo Season 1 was atrocious. So there were very low expectations going into Season 2, but as I said on stream multiple times, the first two episodes I actually thought were going in a pretty good direction. Like, I was impressed. It seemed like they did bring on new people that were familiar with the property, and as I understand it, they did. And you could kind of feel a little bit more passion being put behind this project. However, there were still the remnants from Season 1 that they couldn't just write out, so instead they had to kind of change trajectory with all of these, like, pieces that were grandfathered into Halo Season 2, and I liked what they were doing with characters that were previously super underwhelming. They were putting them in more interesting positions in the overarching story as opposed to these like snooze fest side plots that no one gave a fuck about. But then this show fell back into its old ways, it stumbles, and it just starts going in the worst directions again. Until the season finale, which I actually thought was handled pretty well. There was a lot of really cool shit in the season finale, but then, even still, there was some really stupid shit too. Because it seems like, in this series, the way the plot advances is by characters making really dumb, out-of-character decisions. Like, really fucking, like, everyone happens to be getting pumped full of fucking stupid juice. And they'll just all of a sudden do something dumb, which then advances the plot in a big way. Like, that is something that's happened a couple of times now. But I do think Halo Season 2 is an improvement over Season 1, which of course isn't like the biggest compliment you can give, because that's a pretty low bar, but I am happy with some of the things about it, but overall, again, disappointed, because it's still not good. By no means is Halo Season 2 great or anything. And I wasn't going to talk about this because everyone expected it to be bad anyway. I'm not exactly enlightening anyone here by letting you know that, yep, Halo Season 2 is also bad. But then I saw this Kotaku headline. Halo Season 2 sticks the landing, I told you so. Halo series naysayers, show yourselves because the Paramount Plus show is hitting all the right notes. If those notes are fart sounds, I guess, the sound of like a fucking wet B flat in your trousers. They go on to say that it does everything a video game adaptation should do and then some, and then goes on to say that they've been saying for over a year that the show is good. That is mind-boggling to me. Like, I understand there's differences of opinions, but this opinion is so bad it should be borderline criminal. Like, this is something that should have you undergo, like, a psychiatric evaluation. What do you mean this is what every video game adaptation should do and then some? How? It doesn't use anything from what it's adapting. It doesn't take anything from the actual source material. It's telling its own fanfic, and it's doing an extremely poor job of it. Halo Season 1, they've been talking about this show being good for over a year, meaning they must have enjoyed Season 1. Halo Season 1 is bad, even if you don't know what Halo is. On its own 2 feet, it stumbles and eats shit. Halo Season 1 is just bad television, no matter how you spin it. It is a show that had a huge emphasis on the worst parts of television. For some reason, there was this fixation on showing Master Chief's cheeks, which is what gave it the title of Master Cheeks, because there were so many ass shots of him for no reason. I've already made a video covering everything I think that's wrong with Halo Season 1, so I'm not just going to regurgitate all of those points here. But the point I'm making is that this is not what video game adaptations should be by any means at all. The Halo television series is unrecognizable from the Halo franchise that it's taking from. The only thing they share in common is names and armor. That's it. You're not going to find Master Chief fucking a human that happens to be part of the Covenant, literally steaming her ham in the middle of this war by playing Halo 1 through 3, reading the books, or even, God forbid, playing the 343 Halo games. That is exclusive to just this misguided television show. Now, as I've always said, there's no point in adapting things one-to-one, because what's the point there? You need to take it in different creative directions, but this is so outlandish in the Halo universe that it doesn't have a connection. There's no point in calling it Halo. At least, this is still me talking about Season 1. I ended up focusing on that too hard because of how ridiculous that statement was in this article from Kotaku. And I know Kotaku is on life support right now, just pumping out as much rage bait as they can to try and get as many pity clicks and desperation as they can possibly muster. I get it. They're in their death spiral. But this still, like, even knowing it's rage bait was enough to make me just want to come in here and talk about Season 2 since it wrapped up. Now, going back to this, there is one thing that I do agree with them on. It's this last sentence. Action sequences felt tighter and better choreographed, emotional beats hit when they were supposed to, and the interwoven story threads made for incredibly watchable television. What I agree with from that statement is that last part. Watchable television. That's not the high compliment that the writer thinks it is. Calling something watchable is like the bare minimum. That's like the lowest possible thing you can say. That's like if you're getting bullied and the teacher makes the bully say something nice to you. Like, that is like the tiniest compliment you can give it. And that's what I can say about season 2, is that it is watchable, and I'd even agree that the action sequences are pretty tight and well choreographed. I do think the action, when it's present in Season 2, is pretty good and interesting. Granted, you still have to suspend disbelief and just accept that everyone on screen's a fucking moron at all times, because even right away, even in the 2 episodes I was praising, there's a scene where the Marines are in a dark tunnel, and there's a Covenant on the other side, and they know there's some danger out there, but instead of turning on their light, they just keep going in like groups of two or three into the darkness to die. Like they're being led by Noah to get on the ark. 2 by 2, they just go out there and just get fucking slaughtered by the Covenant in the dark without ever turning on their flashlight, which they have. They have the technology to turn on a fucking flashlight and they just don't. Because, fuck you, that's why. It's silly. But again, the action sequences, I do agree, are tight and well choreographed for the most part. Anyway, I'll go ahead and start by saying a few things I think Halo Season 2 does well. And the biggest thing, the big standout here, is Ackerson. Ackerson is a villain that was present in Halo lore before Season 2, and he is played by an actor named Joseph Morgan, who is actually a fan of Halo. And you can feel it through his performance. He does a great job at being the villain. And I think he was a really helpful component of this season to bring in what he knew from Halo to his role. And that really helped elevate it. Ackerson was by far the best part of Season 2, hands down. Another thing I think they did really well is actually Master Chief this season. And not so much the way Master Chief is written, but Pablo Schreiber, I'm not sure how you say his last name, as Master Chief. There are a couple of really great moments with Pablo as Master Chief where I was like, damn, if he just had some better material, a better story to work with, he'd be a great Master Chief. Like, I really bought into him as Master Chief in this season. I was like, damn, this could be the guy. Like, if we had a good Halo show, if we were in, like, the multiverse where there was a good Halo show, and Pablo was spearheading it, that shit would be a banger. I think he really does get it as Master Chief on what that role would require. I do think that in a Halo television show, you can't have him in the armor 100% of the time. In the first season, I was like, man, he should always be in the armor at least 99% of the time. But in Season 2, seeing Pablo as Master Chief out of the armor, I still got that from him. Every scene he was in, even without his armor, which is pretty much the entire show, he's only in his armor twice, pretty much. No, 3 times, actually, I think. And the rest of the time, he's spent just human being. He's just spent as John. And I still felt like, damn, that's the Master Chief. So he did a great job, really, of embodying that character, even outside of the armor. It's just such a shame that it feels like it comes in a losing effort here, because everything else around these 2 characters is just not good. I mentioned that Season 2 took some of the characters that had these really boring side quests that felt really insignificant to the plot, like Soren, like Quan, and it took these characters and put them into, like, the actual main juice here in Season 2. And I really appreciated that effort, but it didn't seem like they were able to commit to just actually having them as a front and center component of the story. Instead, they're still, like, off on their own little adventures half the time that you just don't care about when you look at the actual meat of this. The Covenant are about to get to the Halo ring. The humans are losing. Reach has fallen. Like, all of these really big things, and then you still have to go watch Quan see ghosts. You have to watch Soren and his wife try and locate their son. Like, that is so underwhelming when put against the big stuff. I'd rather those characters be brought in and contribute to the big stuff as opposed to just kind of being there and then still doing their side quests. Oh, I also did forget to mention one other thing I think they actually do really well. It is a huge spoiler though, so this is your spoiler warning. The Flood. I thought they crushed it with the Flood. I was shocked by how well they did the Flood here, so I won't get into any more detail than that. I won't dive like super deep into spoilers, but I actually thought they handled it really, really well. Impressed with that. But honestly, it actually makes me more upset that there were some good moments here and some like actually very impressive shots, because it showed what could be if the rest of the show could just follow suit. There are some elements here that work pretty well, more so in Season 2 than Season 1 had. Like I said, it is an improvement. And it showed that there is the real capacity to create a great Halo show. But it's just not this. I don't know if there's just too many cooks in the kitchen working on this show or what, but there are some wonderful shots here, and then there is some stinky shots here. There's some good writing here, like with Ackerson and even some of Master Chief's lines, and then there's some terrible writing here, like with some of Kai's lines, and I'm not going to get too deep into spoiler territory, but some other horrible writing choices. There's nonsensical plot holes that are present and never addressed. It's just such a mixed bag. It seems like there are people on board this team that get it and can deliver great Halo content on the television screen. But there's just too many other moving parts behind the scenes that overwhelm that and lead to what you ultimately get here, which is an unsatisfactory season of Halo yet again. Even with all this said, I do think with the finale of Season 2, if there is a Season 3 of Halo, it's actually in a good spot to pick up and be entertaining and actually be pretty solid. I think if there is a Season 3, if they can just dial in on what worked for Season 2 and take it from where the finale ends on their high notes, we might actually see the first good season of Halo. I don't know if there's going to be a Season 3 or not. I don't think it's fully confirmed. It's mainly still speculation right now. But yeah, I guess maybe I'm just being overly optimistic, but it's just there were some good moments here, and I just hate that it's still overall not good. Like, it's still bad. I don't think it's worth watching. Like, I don't think by any stretch of imagination Halo Season 2 redeems this show and it makes it worth the slog of getting through it. It's not. But Season 3 of this show could be decent with where it's at the moment. Anyway, though, maybe I'll get into like more spoiler heavy stuff about all the things I dislike about Season 2 on stream or something, but I won't do it here because I know people don't like to hear spoilers and all of that during these things, so I'll just leave it there and I won't continue ranting about it anymore. That's really about it. See ya.